Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Chameleon 3, Dark Angel. So this came out in 2000, and I briefly talked about it when I did the Chameleon trilogy of a forgotten series on UPN. But when I got to the third movie, at that time I had not rewatched it, so I really didn't have my bearings, so I was just relying everything on memory. Yeah, I got everything right and stuff like that, but I wanted to go in more detail of what the movie's about and stuff, because I went into more detail with the first two movies. The first movie, these movies were like a rip of like action movies and shows from back in like 80s and 90s and stuff like that. So the first one was a rip off of Terminator, the second one Die Hard, and the third one, titled Dark Angel, is funny enough a rip of Dark Angel, the television series with Jessica Alba. These movies were really interesting and cool. And the first one and the third one are like the best. The second one is just kind of like eh. But the first one's pretty cool. Like you can just watch it, relax. It's a nice relaxing movie. The second one's kind of dull and boring, and it's just too much of like a Die Hard movie. But this third movie, oh my God, it is the best of the best. This movie had no business coming out on TV. It should never been a TV movie. It should have been a theatrical movie. I truly believe this movie would have made bank at the box office. I truly believe that this movie would have been up in the top 10, somewhere in the top 5, because it's that good. The only downside of this movie is the CGI city. You get a couple of shots of that. Looks like a video game. And the villain needed a better motive. It's a little confusing and not really all that explained. So they needed a better, the villain's interesting, but he needed to be more developed and stuff. But there's a side villain in this. So these three movies starred that of Bobby Phillips. She was a huge star back in like 80s and 90s and stuff like that. I think she's mostly just, doing activist type work, I believe, or and stuff. I'm not 100% sure right now, but like she's been in so many movies and stuff. She doesn't like to stick around for one type of genre. She likes to bop around. Action, comedy, drama, suspense, you name it. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, in my opinion, she needs to go down in history as one of the greatest action stars of, like, all time, because she really did an amazing job. She was very convincing in the role. Sure, a good 90% of her action was that of a stunt double, but in the hand-to-hand, like up close stuff, oh, that was her. But like, so many other, like, action stars use stunt doubles and stuff like that from the past, and they're held as like the greatest, and she should be too. She's up there in my opinion with Mila Jovovich, Lucy Lawless, Linda Hamilton. Like I'm thinking of female action stars right now. Kate Beckinsale, like, and like honest to God, like even like people like bigger people, like she's not muscular like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff, but like, her character is basically a Terminator and everything. And these movies are about a dystopia America. It's kind of like dirty, dingy, it's very sci-fi. There are like monorail like trains that like fly in the air with hover technology and stuff. It's very fascinating. And so like, of course, there's like a street market with like tons of people, and that's where all the bad stuff like happens. But then you have your rich, snooty people who be up high above, and then you have the new law enforcement, the IBI, and that is what Cam, the main character played by Bobby Phillips, works for. Cam is very unique. She is a sub, an AKA subhuman. She was experimented on while in the fetus and everything with animal DNA, that of a chameleon, a bat, and something else. I think falcon and stuff. And so she has heightened senses. She has like, enhanced hearing, smell, sight, touch. She's very fast. She can run extremely fast. She's strong, and she has camouflage because she has chameleon type DNA in her. And well, not chameleon. It probably is chameleon. I can't remember exactly what all. And the thing is, her clothes can even go invisible too, because her clothes, she wears like a leather outfit, and her clothes is some type of synthetic skin type material that's similar to her DNA skin. And so like that would cause her to like blend into her environment and go invisible. And so subs are very rare, and they're looked down upon like society. And so there's no telling how many of them are, but there aren't that many, because she finds one in this movie, and it turns out to be her long lost brother who she forgot about, because like they explore a little bit more of her background. Cam has changed a lot since the first movie. In the first movie, she saw herself as a sub, just this inferior, not human type person who's there to be like a machine and do whatever she's told. And you know, she didn't care if people looked down on her, and she kind of just like, you know, almost kind of looked down on herself in a way. But when she saved that one boy's life, he taught her how to be human. And because of that, she now has a newfound respect for herself. She does not like it when people disrespect her, call her sub. She lets people know she is human and stuff. She's just more enhanced than most people. She's like a mutated type person, you know? And like, it's even to the point where she would deviate from like her orders and stuff if she feels like, you know, there's a bigger threat and she has to handle it and stuff. And that's what gets her in a lot of trouble, even in like the first movie and stuff like that. And she always has like a new handler in every movie. And her leather outfit is black in this movie, but in the first one, it was more like a leathery green, almost scaly looking thing. It looked more like lizard skin. I like that look a whole lot more. This movie has changed a lot of its technology. In the first movie, their guns looked more futuristic, and they still shot bullets and stuff. And it was very rare to see a normal looking gun. By the time you get into this movie, all the guns look like normal guns now. And so it's trying to look more like that Dark Angel like TV series that was out a while back. And in fact, that TV series I think came out a year before this series came out. And so like every time IBM has like an important assignment, they always send Cam in because she is the sub. And she normally has like a task force unit backing her and stuff, but sometimes she likes to go solo. And the technology is cool. Like they have cameras on their sunglasses, so IBI agents wear those, and you can see everything that's happening. So it gives her that cool Matrix Terminator type look. And so like in the beginning of the movie, she is looking for this person who's trying to sell illegal mutated Rottweilers and stuff. And so she's able to stop him, but she's the type of person who will kill the bad guy, and she has no problem with that. Her philosophy is either them or her, and she chooses them. The action in this movie is superb and the best out of all three movies. It is some very high choreographed, hand-to-hand, gritty, like martial arts. Almost like more like mixed martial arts this time. And the cool thing about it, it's not like the kung fu type martial arts that you always see, very like wire work and very fluid. Oh no, this is like get down, gritty, punch you dead in the face and pound you type like fighting and stuff. And it's so refreshing to see that because it looks more realistic. And because one of the reasons is because like the person who plays her brother, he I'll get into him a little bit later. So anyway, she stops doing like, you know, selling the illegal Rottweilers and stuff. And she has to always go back to IBI to like, you know, get like a checkup and everything. And like, you know, like, cause she's different inside. So she always had like this fluid stuff pumped in her and all this other stuff and make sure she's like A-okay. And she has a thing for her handler, and he has a thing for her too, but he's getting to the point where he wants to keep things professional. And it's kind of annoying her a little bit because like he's treating her very much different. He's treating her like a sub, and she doesn't like that. this other dude who like does the tech stuff, he kind of has a crush on her too, and but everybody else there is very friendly to her. And so, like, the plot of this movie deals with a girl named Tess, who is played by Teal Redmond. And she was really big back in like the 90s and stuff. And so she is a child prodigy. She's a teenager who works in a lab with her father, and she's extremely highly smart. But she of course likes the bad boys, and so she's in the like marketplace, and she's hanging around her little thuggy kind of boyfriend. Like, you know, he's a little shady and stuff, but he's good, but he's just a shady guy who knows people who deals and stuff. And so her father's always keeping tabs on her, and it's cool because this came out in 2000, and there are what are those things called, like a Fitbit watch or something like that. They had this in this movie before those things were ever created, and they have like the time on there. But this one has like a holographic imager where you can like do stuff. It also has a tracking unit and like a communication system and stuff. And so her dad's always keeping tracks on her because she's always like missing. She likes doing smart stuff, but she'd rather just have fun and be wild and crazy and stuff like that. So those two can't never see eye to eye. When she heads back to her dad's lab, she sees that his assistant is messing around with an experiment they was working on called dark matter, which is in like this kind of like dome type spear type thing. Her dad's assistant turns out to be shady. He contacted some people to sell it to them, and he's not supposed to like experiment with it unless the father has like supervision and stuff, because he can only handle it. It's kind of like this optical thing that they put their eyes through this lens, and this lasers goes in their eye, and they have to concentrate on controlling the dark matter, because if it's too unstable it will cause a black hole. And so like next thing you know, a mercenary comes in and he shoots up the place and kills Tess's father. Now the mercenary is Kane, and he is Cam's brother, and he is played by stunt actor Alex Kuzlicki. And so this dude is phenomenal. He is amazing. Flips, punches, kicks, you name it. And because he's a stunt actor, he can do all his stunts in the movie, which makes it more exciting. So he steals the dark matter, and he gets on out of there because the assistant who was supposed to go with him got electrocuted by the dark matter, and Tess just hightailed it on out of there. So, like, because of this break-in now, it alerts IBI. And so Cam is sent, and she's scanning around and looking, but the detectives are all like, you know, we already searched this entire place. Well, since she has enhanced vision, she can see things that they can't. And she's able to find something, I forget that, of Tess. And so she knew there was another person in there, but they don't know what exactly they stole. So she has to find Tess. And so her mission in the movie is to find Tess and deliver her to like a safe house. So Tess is already in the city, and she's looking for her boyfriend to help her look for an EMP device. Because when she was on the monorail trail thing, she heard about how this one gangster named the Mongoose had like an MP3, right? Oh, by the way, this movie is extremely hard to find. Like, you might be able to find it on YouTube, and then again, you might not. It's no longer on DVD or VHS. It's not on streaming. That's why it took me so long to talk about this, because I was actually able to find a copy, but I don't know if that copy is still online or not. And so, like, well, YouTube, that is. And so, like, when she overhears the news, she's looking for the mongoose because she's looking for the MP3. The MP3 has enough energy to disrupt the power in the spear and will shut it down so it won't cause a black hole and kill everybody. So while she's in the marketplace talking to her boyfriend and stuff, he's all like, look, man, I don't deal with like the mongoose and everything. Like, what's going on? And Kane shows up. and he just starts shooting up the marketplace. Well, next thing you know, Cam comes in, and it's a huge fight, and they're just like beating the snot out of each other, and she whips out a knife, and the knife is funny. It has a tiny blade and a long handle. Well, when she cuts him, he regenerates within seconds, and she realizes he's a sub, but she don't know who he is. Now, in the beginning of this movie, she narrates how like she was born to a surrogate mother and all this other stuff, experimented on and given to foster care, and then started working at IBI. But she doesn't mention her brother. So when she gets a hold of like Tess, she contacts like, her people and lets them know that there is a sub who fought her. But her handler, he seems to know about this. And so she gets suspicious and stuff. Well, he wants her to bring the girl into the safe house. And so while they go to the safe house, Tess is just like, I need an MP3, not MP3, what's that thing called? EM pulse. No, what's it called? Electric magnetic pulse. Yeah, EMP. 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 And so her and Tess are getting along somewhat okay, because Tess is a teenager and has a very sharp tongue. She's very sarcastic and she's very rude. But Cam don't be playing that. So Cam listens to her though and everything about the whole black hole that could be formed and stuff like that. So when she drops her off at the safe house, it's an old woman. And this is hilarious. The old woman's all like, I've been trained in guns, jiu-jitsu, all these other styles. I can whoop some behind. It is hilarious. So I do like how there's a little humor for levity and stuff. But Kane, he finds the safe house and he shoots the place up. When Tess fights him again, not Tess, but when Cam fights him again, like she realizes something. Now she remembers he's her brother, but these memories have been like locked away because she was very, very, very young. And so like, I don't know if they escape or yeah, they do escape and everything. Like the action in here, my God, you have to see the action. I mean, it is some hand-to-hand, gritty, like combat stuff. This movie should have been out in theaters, man. I'm telling you. So, anyways, she, is pissed at IBI at this point. She's curious to know how she has this brother, and she has to stop a black hole from destroying the world. So she has to find the mongoose. And so she goes back to that dude who has the enhanced rottweilers because he works for Mongoose. So she tricks him into thinking Tess wants to buy some rottweilers. He's suspicious because she's not trying to haggle with him or nothing. But in comes Cam to pretty much just try to like break his wrist. So he takes her to Mongoose, and Mongoose goons come in and they like pump her full of drugs, a type of drug that's like effective on like subs. And so she's tied up dangling from like the ceiling as the mongoose comes in like a wheelchair and this voice simulator and stuff like that. He doesn't believe that what Cam is trying to tell him about this whole black hole and why she needs the EMP and stuff like that. And so they don't like her because she messed up their operation early that morning, and because she's IBI. So they use some weird sci-fi torture device that's like electrical like rod stick, and it makes waves going in your body, disrupting it. It's so cool looking. But Cam ain't having this crap, man. She busts out of those restraints and she electrocutes the dude who's like selling the rottweilers. Then comes in all the goons dressed in like typical, like, what is it? Like t-shirts and like a ski mask, but they all have like bow staffs for some reason. Like what Donatello has in Ninja Turtles. It is the coolest action fight I've ever seen with a bow staff. She's fighting all these dudes, just whooping them left and right, up and down with just a bow staff, man. You got to watch this movie. It is good. After she's done whooping on them, she frees Tess and she goes to the mongoose, who is still lying about not having an EMP. But he gives it up anyway. And so by this time, the IBI people are mad because Cam's not checking in because she's pissed at them for not telling her about the brother and not believing her. Even her handler's at the point where he doesn't believe her and trust her no more. So she has Tess show her how to use the EMP. And so Tess does that, but then in comes Kane. And so like she's trying to divert Kane away from Tess, while Tess is running with the EMP, but Tess hides it and she tries to run. The choreograph with the motorcycle, him chasing her in that like warehouse, is cool, but he ends up getting her. So see, the problem is the bad guy, for some reason, this is the problem with the bad guy. He wants to sell the dark matter to a bidder. So he has a bidder lined up. But for whatever reason, he wants to harness the energy of the dark matter. So he has one of his assistants who's really smart, tries to use it, but he's not good enough. So they need Tess in order to operate it, because she's the only one who can, since her father is dead and so is the assistant. And so it doesn't make sense if he's going to sell it. Why is he playing around with it, trying to harness its energy? Like, you think he would try to like blackmail the country and get some money or something. That would have made more sense. So anyway, Kane kidnaps Tess. And as Cam got the EMP, here comes IBI and they arrest her. And they lock her up like a caged animal. And she acts like a ferocious caged animal when she's locked up in her room. Her and her handler aren't getting along, and she's furious as she's trying to explain what the situation is going on. But they're pissed that she went off script and didn't hand the girl over after, the safe house got shot up and stuff, telling her like, this wasn't your call and stuff like that. And even like, some of the other IBI agents who was at the safe house were treating her like she's some type of mutant and stuff. So the bad guy hooks Tess up to the machine, and now its energy is changing, and the energy of the dark matter is cool. Like, it's some really good sci-fi looking stuff. And so since she knows how to use it, she is creating a black hole, not willingly, but the machine is making her do it. The machine is kind of like taking over her mind to create the black hole. And so it's the energy and the matter and stuff like that. And so at this point, IBI has finally now trusted what's her name, and she goes looking for Tess. But the question is, how is she going to find her? Well, she remembers what Tess told her about her father and the Fitbit watch and stuff. So she goes to the morgue and she gets the father's Fitbit watch and she tracks that of Tess. It's underground. So she's like in search for Tess. And she's doing her chameleon thing, going like all invisible and stuff. And then next thing you know, she fights a bunch of goons, and then like in a very stealthy kind of ninja kind of way. And then here comes Kane, and he knows who she is and stuff like that. Now her handler said he knew all about Kane, that he was kidnapped at a young age, but didn't know where he was at, that he was being trained as a mercenary. So anyway, it's another good hand-to-hand combat fight, which she wins by stabbing a large metal pole through his chest and hitting the electrical wires in the back. And so then, like she gets the MP and she sets it, and then she like throws it at the bad guy, who gets sucked into the black hole because now its energy has changed and stuff. She grabs on to Tess with one hand while like the IBI agents are coming in for backup, and her handler grabs her hand. Next thing you know, there's like a huge explosion because the EMP bomb exploded within the dark matter. It has to explode within the dark matter in order to close it. there's like this cool rubble looking thing with CGI and it looks amazing. But then next thing you know, Kane's body is missing. It's like, how in the world did he survive a metal pole going through his chest? So because he's a sub, he's able to like regenerate, right? And so now since the day is saved, they're all back at IBI, and they're debriefing like, tests and stuff like that. And her and Cam are gonna keep in touch with the Fitbit watches, and she's gonna go live with her uncle who also has a lab. And so the handler told her, Kane is still on the loose, and Cam tells him, I'm going to look for him, and it like ends. And you think it was going to set up for another sequel, but sadly it did not. And I'm so pissed it didn't, because my God, I am telling y'all, these movies are amazing. I hope you're able to find it somewhere on YouTube because it is phenomenal. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.